Hola everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. Today's video, I'm going to be covering a banded movement mobilization that will help the hip both in internal and external rotation. It'll also help improve the positioning of the femur if it's just a little bit gliding forward. And sometimes you'll feel that when, let's say, you go into a hamstring stretch and you'll feel a little pinch right at the very top of the hip, or you're picking up your leg. And as you pick it up and you rotate and circle it out, just like so, that sometimes you'll feel this little bit of a catch in the hip as as the femur is going into that movement. So this banded movement mobilization will help with putting that femur back into a position and really opening up and releasing the tension around the joint capsule around that hip, so that the femur is able to move and glide really freely in all ranges of movement. It also ends up affecting a little bit of your not a little bit, but a lot of it of your deadlift positioning, with your ability to be able to drive your hip back. And sometimes if you just do one side and don't do the other, sometimes you'll find that one hip is able to go further back than the other side once you're done with this mobilization. A nice little test and retest that you could do, let's say you're just seeking to create balance from one side to the other, is just seeing where your hip, where each leg is to start with internal and external rotation. So if you were to stand and you were to pick up your leg and just see how far you can make it come in and how far you can make it come out, and then do the same thing with the other leg. And my right leg, this one here, moves more freely than this one here. So I'm going to be addressing my left side today. It also, when I pick my leg up, I feel a little bit of what I would call stickiness right in the front of the hip here. This should help clear it as well. It's a really gentle hip release too. Not much is needed for it, and it's usually a go-to for anyone, any fitness level, any age, as long as they're cleared for banded movement mobilizations. To know whether or not you're cleared to be able to do this mobilization, check the video of out called is Can Stretching Be Contraindicated? And if you fall a little bit high on the Baton scale score, know that you would want to either not do this banded movement mobilization if you're in pain, and if you're seeking to improve mobility and you're not in pain, that if you do this banded movement mobilization, that you use a band that is really thin, that doesn't give you much tension. This here is provides about 70 to 80 pounds of tension. If you fall a little bit more on the higher side of the Baton score, you would end up choosing a band that gives you about 35 pounds at most of tension. And when you walk out to increase tension, you wouldn't walk out all the way out to prevent any chance of injury. If you fall a little lower on the Baton score, you could use this size band, and if you fall somewhere in between, choosing a band somewhere in the middle and doing just what's needed. I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with the left leg. It's a pretty simple release. The whole time you're doing it, you're just paper clipping. Paper clipping just simply means moving in and out of tension. There's a video on the posterior chain on a mobilization that kind of covered a little bit more detail about what paper clipping is, and what we're actually doing when we're doing banded movement mobilization. So to get started, I have the band, by the way, anchored to the door. There's a door anchor you can buy. TheraBand makes it. It's pretty inexpensive. It has this little thicker side, and you would just put it in through the door hinge side, not the actual door opening side, but any door, wherever you place it. As soon as you close the door, that anchor will be anchored in, and I just have the band looped in and secured. So once I'm here, I have the band around the front of the hip, and I'm just walking out to tension. So right there, I feel the band kind of pulling me back. And I'm not going all the way out to where I'm really fighting the band, but just this release right here is just pretty good. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to oscillate in and out of tension. I'm going to be sitting my hips back, and then from there I'm just going to be driving my hip forward, just as so. And then I'm going to sit back, and I can keep going anywhere from 5 to 15 repetitions would be great. And this is pretty much the main action, just going in and out of tension. Being where the knees are together, that's part one. You can progress this by bringing that knee that is in the band, by just bringing it slightly forward. Once I'm here, I can come forward and I can pick up that other leg to help me drive my hip forward. I can sit back all the way and again drive forward. As I keep going in and out of tension, sometimes I'll feel like as I'm sitting back that I kind of sit out of corner, and that's okay. I'm just going to see coming forward and see coming back. When I come forward, I feel tension. When I sit back, I feel that tension let go. Once I'm done there, that's part two. Same thing, anywhere from 5 to 15 reps there. Part three that you can go into is just taking this, not the leg that's not in the band, and picking that knee up. From there, I'll take that leg that's in the band, and I can use my hands to kind of put it into this figure 4-like position. I'm going to move this camera down just a bit so you can see that I've taken my leg, made almost like what's called the pigeon pose or this figure 4 pose, and then I'll use this other knee to block it in place. I'll stay there, and then pretty much all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be oscillating in and out of tension again. I'm sorry for my finger in the camera there. Once I'm here, same thing, I'm just coming forward, and then when I sit back, instead of sitting back all the way, I'll be slightly shifting back to a corner and gently just moving in and out of that tension there. So I'm sitting back into the hip that's banded off into like a bit of a 45, and then gently coming out of that, and then again sitting back and going into tension. That's part three. Same thing, about 5 to 15 repetitions can be done. You could stop there, and if you wanted a little bit more, you can have this nice bit of a lateral distraction from the band, and all you would need to do is just turn yourself about a 45-degree position here. So I'm going to just turn. Once I'm there, I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm going to be sitting into the band and then driving away from it. Except this time what I feel the band doing is pulling a bit laterally as I sit back and drive away. Same thing, 5 to 15 reps here. Once I'm done, I'll come off of it. Now I know I may have not done 5 reps of everything, but I was quickly running through it so you guys could get the picture. When I stand up, so nice. You'll see the improvement in my left leg, hip internal rotation. This is my right, and now this is my left. It looks like my left just has a little bit more now than the right does, but it's a quick, fast improver. Again, takes about 2 minutes at most when you go through all 4 rounds. If you wanted to, you can end up just doing 2 parts of that 4-part series, and you still will get a nice result to the hip. It also can play a big part when you open your hip up in improving back pain. If the hips aren't moving well and aren't flexible, the back can end up trying to create more movement in order to compensate for your hips lacking movement. So if you were to go into this release to restore your hip range of motion, it will take that pressure off of the back trying to do all the work. So hope this helps. Give it a try. Have fun.